Om Swastiastu. His Excellency, Dean of the Faculty of Law, Udayana University, in this occasion is represented by Vice Dean 1 of Academic and Planning Affairs, Ibu Doktor Igusti Agung Masrua Jayantiari SHMKN, the Honorable all Vice Deans at the Faculty of Law, Udayana University, Coordinator of Doctor of Law Program, Faculty of Law, Udayana University as the host of today's event, and all coordinators of study programs at the Faculty of Law, Udayana University, Committee Chairman, our invited speakers, Professor Stephen A. Rosenbaum, Lecturer of School of Law, University of California, Berkeley, USA, and Professor Dr. Niketut Supasti Darmawan, SHM Hum LLM, Lecturer from Faculty of Law, Udayana University, our moderator, Bapak Imade Budi Arsika SHLLM, as well as all participants, ladies and gentlemen. Praise and gratitude to God Almighty because of His blessings and grace, we can all gather on today, Thursday, 5th September 2024 at the Hall of Faculty of Law Udayana University for the International Seminar on Future Directions in Disability Law, Emerging Trends and Perspectives, organized by Doctor of Law Program, Faculty of Law Udayana University. Ladies and gentlemen, before we enter the main agenda, we would like to invite all audience to sing the national anthem of Indonesia. Therefore, for the committee, would you please, and to all audience, please stand up. Thank you. As we are going to continue our agenda with prayer, we would like to invite all audience to pray according to your respective beliefs. The prayer is started. The prayer is finished. For the audience, you may please be seated. Excellency, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, as for our first agenda, please warmly welcome the head committee of this international seminar to deliver his report for this event. Therefore, to Bapak Igusti Ngurah Parikesit Widya Teja, SHM Hum LLM PhD, the time and place are yours. Thank you.
Om Swastiastu. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Salam, namo buddhaya, salam sehat. To the Dean, Faculty of Law, Udayana University, who is in the occasion will be represented by the Vice Dean of Academic Affairs, all coordinator law program. We have from Doctor of Law, Master of Notary, Bachelor of Law, all unit and department coordinator across Faculty of Law, Udayana University, law professor, all college, all participants, and the organizing committee. It is definitely my pleasure to welcome you to this prestigious international seminar regarding future direction on disability law, emerging trend and perspective. We have to say thankfulness for the Doctoral of Law program who helped this program, support this program, and also Udayana Research Office for supporting as well this program. We are lucky because we talk about disability, talking about something that maybe not many scholars, not many even legal scholars have interested on this issue. But it does important because it might be happen in our daily life. So we are lucky because there are two distinctive speakers will deliver their inspiring material. The first, we have Professor Stephen Rosenbaum from School of Law, the University of California, Berkeley. So please. He just, I think, landed 2 days ago in Bali and will be in Bali for around 3 months because he is here as a part of the research program called Udayana Senior Research Fellowship funded by LPPM or Udayana Research and Community Service Unit in Udayana. So he will definitely support and make many programs in relation to the education, community service, and research to support the existence of Faculty of Law Udayana. The next speaker is Ibu Profesor Supasti Darmawan. I think almost all already know about her contribution and her publication, especially related with intellectual property law issues. But in this matter, she will explain about the development about clinical legal education or law clinic in Faculty of Law Udayana University. And in this seminar, we also invite all participants from lecturers and students from all law program within Faculty of Law Udayana University to raise some common issues and concern about the significance of disability law. Yeah. we have a goal to, at the end, there should be any like standard operating procedure when we will accept student in disabled situation, not just physical disabled, but also mentally disabled. How we can treat them better, because as a higher institution, we are not allowed to refuse, not to accept because of their disabilitiness. That's break the rule, that breaks the principle of human right. But if we don't have any procedure, any kind of contingency plan, then what is supposed to do to prevent any problem in the future? Okay, without waiting any longer, now I would like to invite the Dean of Faculty of Law Udayana University to formally open this event. Thanks for the opportunity, and I will close my speech by saying Om Santi Santi Santi.
Thank you, Bapak. Ladies and gentlemen, as for our next agenda, now please warmly welcome the Dean of Faculty of Law Udayana University. In this occasion is represented by Vice Dean 1 of Academic and Planning Affairs. Therefore, to Ibu Doktor Igusti Agung Masrua Jayantiari SHMKN, time and place are yours. Thank you.
Om Swastiastu, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Shalom, Nama Budaya, Salam Sejahtera. Distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, and dear participants. Good morning and warm greetings from the Faculty of Law, Udayana University. It is an honor to stand before you today, representing our Dean to welcome you to this significant international seminar, Future Direction in Disability Law, Emerging Trends and Perspective. This event is testament to our commitment to advancing legal scholar and fostering global collaboration in addressing critical issues in the field of law. Today, we are particularly honored to have with us two distinguished scholars who are leaders in their respective field. First, we are delighted to welcome Professor Stefan Rosenbaum from the School of Law, University of California, Berkeley. Professor Rosenbaum's extensive experience and profound insight into disability law have made a significant impact on legal education and policy worldwide. We are also privileged to have Professor Supasti from our very own Faculty of Law, Udayana University. Professor Supasti's work has been instrumental in shaping the legal landscape in Indonesia, particularly in the realm of intellectual property rights and clinical legal education. This seminar, organized by Doctoral Program in Law at Udayana University, is particularly special. It coincides with 60th anniversary of our Faculty of Law, Udayana University. This theme of today's seminar, focusing on the future direction in disability law, is both timely and necessary. As we witness global shift in legal framework and societal attitude toward disability, it is crucial that we stay ahead of these changes and continue to advocate for the rights and dignity of individuals with disabilities. This seminar provide an invaluable opportunity for us to learn from the experiences and perspective of our esteemed speakers and to engage in the meaningful discussion that will shape the future of disability law. As we embark on today's discussion, I encourage all participants to actively engage, ask questions, and share our own insight. The exchange of ideas and experiences is what makes event like this is so valuable, and I am confident that today's seminar will be productive and enlightening experience for all of us here. Finally, it is with great pleasure that I declare the International Seminar, Future Direction in Disability Law, Emerging Trends and Perspective, officially open. Thank you very much. Om Santi, 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 Om.
Thank you, Vice Dean 1. Ibu Doktor, mohon berkenan untuk tetap di panggung karena akan ada penyerahan plakat. Baiklah, ladies and gentlemen, that was the opening ceremony for today's agenda. We would like to invite our committee chairman, and then Professor Stephen, and then Profesor Supasti, Bapak Budi, and then Bapak Koordinator Program Studi yang ada di Fakultas Hukum Udayana, dan juga Ibu Profesor Dewi Kasih untuk berkenan maju, berfoto bersama, dan akan ada penyerahan plakat, delivery of token of appreciation to Profesor Stephen Bau. Thank you. Baik, sekali lagi. 1, 2, 3. Ya, terima kasih. Thank you. You may all please be seated. Ya, boleh. Sekali lagi kita akan berfoto bersama. Mohon dengan pose tangan meroket, mungkin bisa. Ya, baik. Saya akan ambil aba-abanya. 1, 2, 3. And then once more. 1, 2, 3. Dan berfoto bersama para peserta mungkin. Diharapkan kepada para peserta untuk dapat berdiri karena kita akan berfoto bersama. Baik, kami ambil aba-abanya. 1, 2, 3. Once more. 1, 2, 3. Wait, pose meroket ya. 1, 2, 3. Baik, terima kasih. Hadirin dipersilahkan untuk duduk kembali. To all audience, you may please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, finally we arrive at the main agenda for today's event. We would like to inform that the presentation of our invited speakers in this session for today is going to be facilitated by Bapak Imade Budi Arsika, SH LLM as the moderator. Bapak Imade Budi Arsika, SH LLM is a lecturer at the International Law Department at Faculty of Law Udayana University. He obtained his bachelor's degree from Faculty of Law Universitas Airlangga, while for his master's degree from the Faculty of Law Maastricht University, the Netherlands. He is the managing editor of the Udayana Journal of Law and Culture, and currently he is also a PhD student at the Faculty of Law Udayana University. Without further ado, we would like to give the time and place to Bapak Budi. Thank you.
Thank you for the Master of Ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, how have you been? How are you today? Good? Broken. Yeah. Well, it is almost 13 years, I guess. If I'm not mistaken, at the end of the 2011, Indonesia officially ratified the Disability Conventions. And since then, many improvement as well as development made by not only government but only some civil society as well as educational institutions. We can mark, for example, at the university, I guess most buildings now is equipped with the, let's say, lift, for example, and also the access for disabled persons. And I think Indonesia works to implement the international obligations stipulated at that conventions. And I think almost all international partners nowadays require the accessibility for disabled persons besides the gender issues. So that's why Udayana University, as far as I'm concerned, pay attention on this issue. And so that's why the initiative by the Faculty of Law, in particular the Doctoral of Law programs, to initiate this seminar should be appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to invite the two distinguished speakers. So beforehand, allow me to introduce them. So first of all, we have Professor Stephen Rosenbaum. Yeah? And we have also Professor Doktor Niketut Supasti Darmawan, SH.M. Hum LLM. I would like to invite the two of the respective speakers to come to attend. Please give big applause. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the curriculum vitae of the two speakers at the seminar. So first, Professor Stephen Rosenbaum. He is a Frank C. Newman lecturer at the University of California, Berkeley School of Law, and also the part-time lecturer at the University of Washington. Is it in Seattle? Right? Okay, where the Pak Sigit obtained the LLM for the clinical legal educations. He obtained GD at the School of Law, University of California, Berkeley, and also MPP at the Graduate School of Public Policy at the same university. I guess everybody knew about Berkeley, I guess, in the 1970s, yeah, please correct me, when Indonesia developed our national strategic on economic development, we use the term technocrat, but I think several graduates from Berkeley, in particular the economists, was invited to set up the concept, the master plan on economic development in Indonesia. Pak Sigit just remind me, I guess the late father, the father of the current just elected president, Mr. Prabowo Subianto, is also graduate from Berkeley, right? Yeah, so Berkeley is very famous here in Indonesia. So please give big applause to Professor Stephen Rosenbaum. Yeah. Professor Supasti, I will introduce you later just before you presented your time. Thank you. Yeah. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Rosenbaum to present your presentation. Please.
Terima kasih, Pak Budi. Can you hear me okay? In the back? You know, with disability, that's one of the important things, is to make sure that people who have hearing impairment or deaf, that they're able to participate, or people who are blind and have visual impairment. And that's often a difficult and different thing to do in speaking, to make sure that everybody is included and accommodated. First, I want to honor Wakil Dekan Doktor Igusti Ageng Mas Roa Jayantiari, Profesor Putu Sardama Sumadi, Profesor Imade Subawa, Dr. Karma Resin, Dr. Pariksit, Professor Supasti, Budi Arsika, honored lecturers and students, Om Swastiastu, Salam Ulakem Wara Matulai Baru Katu, Shalom Aleichem, Shalom, Namu Budhaya, Salam Sejatera, Selamat Pagi. Now maybe I'm afraid I have talked too long already, so maybe I should stop. But seriously, well, first I apologize for making the rest of my talk in English. I do appreciate the accommodation that you are making to listen to me in what maybe is your second, third, or fourth language, because I imagine a lot of you speak more than Bahasa Indonesia, and I applaud you for that. I wish that in my own country, United States, that we had such high regard for the importance of learning other languages of the world, and not to expect everybody to speak English. I'd like to talk today about the future of disability law teaching and a disability law clinic here at Udayana Universitas, which, as Pak Sigit told you, is something I'm hoping to create with a number of students to look into the feasibility and the development and sustainability, of another clinic. And I know I learned from Professor Supasti, you have many clinic Hukum here at the university. And I think it'd be wonderful to add to that community. But I also wanted to talk more generally about the future of clinical legal education. And as usual, when I speak, I abbreviate my remarks because usually I've written too much and I don't want to bore you. It's particularly important for those of you who are Gen Z, Gen Z, and millennials that you not be bored, right? And so I was preparing more for today on the general subject of clinical legal education, but I will try to drill down more closely to some of the elements of disability law and disability law clinical education. The late Dean Sucipto Rahardo once wrote that along with Bahasa Indonesia, the Hukum Nasional, or national legal system, is, quote, considered a major contribution toward bringing this nation, plural in many respects, into homogeneity. And I think I kind of surprised my colleagues today to know that I could actually sing the national anthem, but that's only because the words were on the screen. So I thank you for that. Almost 62 years ago, the first post-colonial Southeast Asian Conference on Legal Education was held at the University of Singapore. And that was almost the same time, about 2 years before Udayana Universitas was founded in 1964. and I congratulate you on your 60th anniversary this year, this month, I believe. September Ceria? September Ceria? Ceria. September Ceria. And so, like many other former colonies in the region, Indonesia has undergone a number of changes in its legal education system, both in reality and rhetoric. In its early stages, the new Indonesian leadership was anxious to cut off the Dutch regime, and President Sukarno called for a legal revolution to overthrow all aspects of colonial law, but not necessarily to reject a legal framework that was grounded in rechtsstaat gedate, or what we call still to this day rule of law. And even before independence, Indonesian theorists were attempting to craft a constitution that would blend traditional and indigenous values of hukum adat with so-called Western principles like individualism, ownership, contractual rights. And while Sukarno may have condemned the role of formal law and praised the importance of a uniquely Indonesian social and communitarian ethic, there seemed to be no disagreement that the role of the law faculty is to produce lawyers, advocates, judges, and technocrats, as Pabudi told me, who would help foster industrialization and modernization in an independent Indonesian nation. Now, when Suharto replaced Sukarno as president in 1967, legal education was designed primarily to ensure that graduates were able to support the socio-economic development process, which again, Pabudi alluded to that process, which continued over many years. And under the new order, or Orde Baru, legal codes were binding once again, but the goal of developing a coherent system of legal reasoning remained elusive. As many of you know, the Suharto regime tightly controlled the judiciary throughout the 1970s and 80s. New schools, law schools were established. They produced a larger number of would-be attorneys and officers of the court. But one commentator observed that while the new order government supported Suharto's attempts at modernization and nation building, economic development, quote, in the end it was neither prepared to tolerate an independent judiciary nor to support an independent-minded academic community. Now, that skepticism has remained about the current state of legal education. And Dean Rector Hikmahanto Juwana asserted about 3 decades ago that the graduates of the Fakultas Hukum are still inclined to be legalistic and seem unaffected by the post-independent developments. But Professor Hikmahanto maintained that Indonesia's law students are in fact no different from graduates of the colonial era and do not reflect the policy preferences of Indonesia's political leaders or the needs of the country. And he claimed that those who teach law are resistant to change and continue to ignore fundamental changes. Now that's very harsh criticism, and you are better judges than I to tell me if that is applicable, that criticism today in the status quo. There's no question about the modernization and development that has taken place in Indonesia due to globalization of the economy, ideas and culture. The nation has witnessed transition from a society founded on autocratic or state power to one founded on rule of law. I understand, however, there is still some nostalgia for the Orde Baru, and I think we all agree about the importance of maintaining an independent judiciary, which is a concern in my own country right now, with very heavy criticism of our US Supreme Court. I'm happy to discuss that more. And also the importance of an independent-minded academic community, such as at the Universitas, Udayana Universitas, and the Faculty of Law. I just want to make 4 brief points about legal education, which apply to all education, not just clinical. That learning practical skills in analysis, advocacy, and professionalism should not be postponed. And I understand from Professor Supasti, you have a new clinic in ethics and advocacy, which I think will go very much in that direction about professionalism. Second, the faculty should take advantage of their autonomy in planning and administration new and varied initiatives. And again, I know here just in the clinical domain, you have now, I think, about almost 10 clinics in the Clinic Hukum. Third, the faculties need resources, and if they're not sufficiently resourced, they should more effectively employ others, lawyers, advocates, legal aid, judges, and also drawing on the regional and international community. And finally, the state should continue to play a guiding role, which is something that Sukarno had wanted on the eve of independence, in developing a cadre of social justice lawyers so that law schools can be part of an expanding legal aid scheme. And in opting for the clinical and other professional programs, law schools must own the program and not simply contract out to NGOs or to others. So to underscore some of what I think are the core concepts of what we might call the second wave of clinical legal education, first to remember that clinical legal education simply means to learn by doing. We don't wait till the end of law school to begin to learn skills and begin to serve others. We do that in the course of the law school education. That model comes from the medical school, which many, many years ago learned that students to become doctors need to learn how to work with patients while they are still in the educational process. That same theory is why we talk about the clinical legal education. Second, as I said before, you need the buy-in, the ownership by the faculty members of the faculty, the lecturers, the professors, and by the administration. And third, and this is something I hope to build on during my short time here and to continue, is the community among the clinic Hukum, the various legal clinics working together at the law faculty to support each other, to learn from each other, to work together. Professor Supasti and I were talking before about human rights, and I know, Pabudi, you also are involved with human rights. Disability rights is part of human rights. And so we don't need to be siloed always in our individual fields, but work together. And beyond the community here at Udayana, we have law clinics at UI, at other universities throughout Indonesia, at other universities in the ASEAN region, and generally in Asia. And you can even look sometimes to maybe the United States, you know, or Australia, in your neighborhood. And even programs supported by the Netherlands and elsewhere in Europe, former colonial powers. I think another key, besides these partnerships, the community and the partnerships in the region and the world, is remembering the social justice mission, which is service to the most marginalized members of society, whether it be indigenous people, people with disabilities, poor people, women, sexual minorities, and so forth. And if there is a heavy burden placed on legal education, it should be that social justice values must be part of any curriculum. And only by embracing these values can students, like many of you here, become effective advocates and shapers of public policy and develop empathy with your clients. Now, I understand as an undergraduate institution as well, it's not simply about training lawyers here, right? Not all of you will become attorneys in the future. There are other ways that we need to prepare a citizenry for an inquisitive, informed, and active life after law school, whatever your career might be. And while the acquisition of professional skills is worthwhile for law students, it's only part of what it takes to develop a lawyer to the point where she can address the needs of clients who are disadvantaged or underrepresented in a society. I also want to add a uniquely Indonesian value, two concepts in Indonesia from what I'm learning. And I know sometimes these become what we say in branding or buzzwords, jargon, phrases that all countries of the world use, including my own, and we don't really think about the meaning of them. And those are two concepts. One, the Tridharma of higher education. The legal clinic is very much in keeping with the philosophy of Tridharma Perguruan Tinggi, with an emphasis on community service, particularly as the Faculty of Law envisions it as planned, organized, and sustained, the key word being sustained. The clinical approach is also aligned with Pancha Pancasila education as a guideline for Indonesian students who are partners of the lecturer. And again, sometimes we use this rhetoric to be partners. And those of you who are students probably feel sometimes you are not a partner, right? You are maybe sometimes talked down to, but you are partners in your learning. And it's important to remember that. To study, analyze, and solve problems of the nation and reinforce good citizenship with humanism, democracy, and social justice as the foundation for legal programs. I'm going to gloss over some points about student-centered learning and the importance of that, project-based learning or problem-based learning, because I think you've maybe heard about that, and we don't have time today for that. Okay, I will go beyond that, and I think I will move to disability law. What's particular, and again, I emphasize the reason I talked a lot about legal education and clinical, because I think it's important to have that understanding before you look at things like disability law. Because as I said before, disability is one issue in the human rights pantheon, if you will, and one kind of clinical education directed to disability. And there are many models for it. There are law schools who deal with disability as well as other human rights. There are law schools who deal with the rights of children or the rights of women, and they include disability, disabled women, disabled children. In the education area, there are clinics on education advocacy who deal with disabled students. So there are many different models. But first it's important, and this will be something we will do in the clinic, the students involved in the clinic here. Is there anyone in the audience today who will be signing up for the disability clinic? Raise your hand. Okay, Sigit told me that he knows some of the students. Okay, they're not here. Okay, well, I will say as an advertisement that on Monday, 9 September, there will be an informal meeting of students who are interested, and we will have a guest here who's a policy analyst from the Government Ministry of Labor and Human Rights. You can get more details later. But we will talk about the importance of ableism, which is a concept, and stigmatization, or stigma. Because I think when many people think of disability, they think of people in wheelchairs, right? Or people who use a walker, people with mobility issues, getting into buildings, getting up to the second and third floor, using the lavatories. And that's important. Those are people with physical or mobility impairments. But disability also includes people with intellectual disabilities, with mental health disabilities, and what I alluded to earlier are people with communication disabilities like hearing and seeing, sight and hearing. So it's important to understand it's a broad community and all with sort of different needs and different accommodations. It's also important when we talk about ableism to remember that it's the environment, the built environment, which is disabling more than the individuals. Disability is a natural condition of humanity, and so the environment needs to provide accommodations to that disability. It's the disabling environment. I'm going to call out Pasigit now because he came back in the room. I asked the question, Pasigit, if there's anyone here who might be joining the clinic, the legal clinic. They're not here. So I will meet you later. And it's still open. And I can take questions on that. Two key principles in disability law and disability. One is accommodation, as I said earlier. How does one accommodate different disabilities in terms of making sure that there could be inclusive and full participation? So sometimes it means a ramp to get in the building. Sometimes it means the doors are wide enough for people with the physical disabilities. But just as we were discussing on the way over here, Pasigit, about physical disability and other disabilities, if people have intellectual disabilities, sometimes the speaking has to be simplified or the writing has to be simplified. And of course, for people who are hearing impaired, there's captioning or sign language interpretation. People visually impaired, they don't all read Braille. There's other forms of accommodation, voice activated, technology. Technology has been a tremendous boon to the disability movement. It makes things possible today that were not possible 30, 40 years ago. And those are some of the kinds of accommodations that we talk about, whether it's in employment, whether it's in learning, whether it's in using public services, being in public spaces, the importance of accommodation. And together with accommodation is the importance of non-discrimination. And I know you know about non-discrimination when we talk about other individual identities. Again, whether we're looking at race, religion, ethnicity, immigration status, sexual orientation, gender, and so forth. Now, speaking of religion, I was very impressed by the number of greetings in all the religious denominations of Indonesia. And I think many of you may be aware that right at this moment, the Pope Francis is visiting the country. And the first time a Pope has come in many years. And I think it's a recognition on his part and the part of the Catholic Church that although Catholics are a very small percentage of Indonesians, it's a very religiously diverse and tolerant country. And I know that you here in Bali are a minority within a Muslim nation. The Hindu tradition and religion here, which is prominent here, is a minority, but nonetheless, Hindus have respect for Muslims, and Muslims have respect for Hindus, and Christians, and Buddhists, and Jews, and Zoroaster, and maybe other, and atheists, and people who don't believe in a particular God. So I think that's a very important foundation for understanding what non-discrimination means, and to transfer that from the religious environment to the disability. A few more points I want to make before I conclude about disability, and of course I'm happy with after Professor Supasti speaks and to take questions. But one, and this is true I think of all clinics, and that is to consult with the community, whether that's civil society, NGOs. We have in the disability community what we call DPOs, Disabled People's Organizations. These are the voices of the clients. These are the voices of the community. And so we can't presume that I, coming from one other country, or as a non-disabled person, I did have a disabled son that gave me some personal knowledge, but we need to respect and listen to and consult with members of the various communities, in this case, the disability community. And where possible, we talk to people with disabilities themselves when they're able to do that and available. And that will be something that the clinic here will work on. Also, what's important is to decide what kind of advocacy they need. Not everything goes to court. Some things are settled by informal dispute resolution or hukum adat, customary law. Some things are settled with street law. You familiar with the concept of street law? Dissemination to the community of legal information. These are all different ways of advocacy. And so it's important to consult again with the disabled community about what are their needs for advocacy, what are the issues important, employment, transportation, education, public services, public access, and so forth and so on. And then, as I said before, and I want to underscore the importance of sustainability. Any clinic, any program to have really meaningfulness to continue needs to find a way to sustain itself and not just be limited to who happens to be here in the moment to try to promote a certain program or clinic. And so I think with that, I will conclude for now, and of course happy to have questions later. So terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Professor Rosenbaum. Yeah, very interesting. You mentioned our Indonesian scholars like Professor Sachipto Raharjo.
You say it better than me.
Sachipto Raharjo is well known for, let's say, introducing the concept of progressive law in Indonesia. And very interesting also, you mentioned Professor Hikmahanto Juwana. He studied law beside Indonesia, also in Keio University in Japan and Nottingham University in UK. And then when he come back to Indonesia, he wrote a very, very good articles, let's say revealing about the historical development of legal educations. Until now, this is one of the, let's say, landmark article to be cited.
I think that may be the article I was quoting from the Asian Journal of Legal Education.
Yes,
Okay,
I guess that's one. So one of the leading.
I tried to do my homework.
Amazing. Yeah. So, Professor, thank you very much. I guess the participant will raise their hand later during the question and answer sessions. And now allow me to invite Professor Doktor Niketut Supasti Darmawan, SH, Hum LLM. So, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Supasti Darmawan is a full professor at this Faculty of Law, Udayana University. He studied law at bachelor level at this university and then continue to obtain Master and Doctoral of Law at Diponegoro University, Semarang. So Professor Supasti was the student of Professor Sachipto Raharjo as well. Yeah, at his university, Diponegoro University, Semarang. Professor Supasti also obtained another Master Globalization of Law, a Globalization and Law Master Program at Maastricht University, the Netherlands. In 2012, he was the head of Master of Law program. He also the founder and former editor-in-chief of Master of Law Journal. He initiated several remarkable international cooperations between Faculty of Law and our international partners. For example, in 2008 until 2012, he was the project coordinator in developing curriculum human resources, in particular the PBL, the problem-based learning, the cooperation with Maastricht University funded by NAVIC, the Netherlands. And in 2012 until 2016, if I'm not mistaken, he also the project coordinator developing the clinical legal educations. So she visited, let's say, Turkey, also the Czech Republic, and also Australia for meeting with the expert on clinical education, clinical legal education. So without further ado, everyone please give big applause to Professor Supasti Darmawan.
Thank you, Pak Budi, moderator. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Selamat pagi, Om Swastiastu, salam sehat untuk kita semua. Excuse me, Pak Budi, may I go around?
Please.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor, it is an honor for me. Today, we have opportunity to sit here in one frame with the prominent professor from California. So thank you very much. Okay, let me know just to continue to present my paper. My paper only in short or in general. So the topic is the current clinical legal education at the Faculty of Law Udayana University. So in general, what we have here in Faculty of Law. And then after that, why we need to establish disability law clinic as part of the academic curriculum. So we need to add our clinical legal education. That's the important thing that we would like to share with the special participant. Thank you very much that you are coming here. And then also for my friend and also my what we call it, Ibu Profesor Desa Dewi Kasih. We are a team in the faculty. Thank you, Ibu Prof Dewi. Okay, next slide. Please, next slide. Okay, this is myself. Okay, thank you. And then the next slide. Okay, we will discuss about what is clinical education, or sometimes we call it CLA. And then after that, this CLA, the Faculty of Law Udayana University, what we have, how we run this clinical. And then the third thing is disability law in international and national context, just in brief. And then after that, we will discuss about developing disability law clinic. Why is it important through academic curriculum at the end conclusion. Okay, we will talk first about what is clinical legal education. Actually, Professor Stephen already mentioned about that. Just I add a bit, Professor, about what is CLA that in my view. Okay. Ibu, silahkan, Pak. The next slide. Okay, the next slide. Okay, what is CLA? Clinical education, yeah, from several prominent experts, just I cite from them. Clinical legal education is a method of teaching. As a method of teaching in which students learn some substantive law and also practice in the content of real or simulated problem of in cases. This is make it different, the CLA, if we compare with the general subject. Because usually when we do the general subject, sometimes we just learn about the theoretical. What is private law or something like that. But in clinical legal education, we learn together not only the theoretical thing, but also how to practically. So we are we join with the student planning component and also experiential component. For example, when we do civil law clinic, for example, about how to protect our work in copyright law, for example, when we have a video, song, or a book or article journal, especially in the digital era, sometimes people very easy to take our work and then to commercialize, yeah, to make it money from our work. So how we protect our law? In the class, in planning component, we together with the student, just give them the knowledge, and then after that, and the next method, we ask them to go to practice, to depend, to provide our for example, our evidence that this work is belonging to me. So by, for example, registering the work to the DGIP, and then the student will have ability and skill. We combine between theoretical, or we call it knowledge, yeah, skill, and also value. Yeah, okay. Can we together to say about that? Just last time we say about meroket. So we are meroket through CLA by memorizing knowledge. Okay, together with me. Okay, all participants. Knowledge. We study. We remember about knowledge, and then skill, and then value. Okay, stand up. All participants stand up. Together with me, yeah. Knowledge, skill, value. And then you remember. Thank you. So, yeah, meroket. And then we can meroket and go to California together. Yeah, okay. So when we study in the faculty, not only we study about knowledge, okay, we know about knowledge, but now we have a famous lawyer here, but we also, our student also can study about the practical one. They go to our partner, and then they have experience there. And then we work together with the partner. We don't forget about value. Value still, yeah. not only about the money, but also value. So combine between knowledge, skill not only writing, but also reading, researching, and another thing of skill. And then also value, this is very important. Then we would like also to mention about when we set up the clinical legal education subject, we cannot work alone in our faculty. So we need partner. Who is our partner? One of them is government, and then the other is law firm, and then also society, and also another partner that related with our clinical legal education. Okay, the core of clinical legal education is that teaching students while they are in professional role and essential component of professional and education. The other thing, I also mentioned, and also the participant also practicing about knowledge, value, and skill. CLA's educational program based on reactive and reflective. Reactive need mean that not only the student active, not only the lecturer active or the professor, but actually the student active and reactive. Okay, so that also not only the teacher only guided them, but the student itself should active and reactive. And then after them, we should reflective, evaluate our system, our progress, whether we should improve or we change the method or something like that. That the important thing about CLA. Professor Stephen also mentioned that in CLA actually experiential learning or learning by doing. Thank you very much. Okay, experiential learning. We have experiential, not only planning, not only reading in the class, but also the more important thing, experiential learning. To be acting like lawyers, something like that. Yeah, learning by doing. Okay, Ibu, Pak Ardi, next slide. So, how about the SLA and our faculty? Just for a moment, I would like to inform you about the story about we set up the CLA. In Faculty of Law, we established the CLA actually in 2012. Yeah, in that time, we work together with around 7 university, top university here in Indonesia as pilot project. UI, UGM, UNPAD, Sriwijaya, USU, and also UNHAS, and we are here, Udayana University. And then the project supported by the A2G and also the USAID. After that, because to set up the clinic is not issue one, because we should prepare about first, we should inform the dean why we set up the clinical legal education, what the opportunity or what the advantages of the CLA for the student. Then after the dean or the head of program agree, then we can provide about the curriculum, and then find the partner, whether we will go to the court, whether we will send our student in experiential component to the law firm, or whether we will work with community, for example, for adat law or something like that, or what we call it, adat law in bahasa hukum adat, or indigenous, tadi apa itu? Ya, customary law. Yeah, and so we should provide, we should come to the partner, visiting them, informing them what the purpose of the CLA. Then we have cooperation with the partner, because the partner, we are nothing. Yeah, something like that when we set up the CLA. And then until finally we have around 6 here CLA in our faculty. Yeah, because I'm from civil law clinic, so I mentioned civil law clinic in the first civil law clinic. Me myself as the head of civil law clinic, and then we have criminal law clinic, fortune for me now in behind, betul di belakang behind. We have Ide Bagus Surya Dharma. He is also the chief of criminal law clinic. So we work together since 2012 with him. And then the third one is anti-corruption law. We have Bapak anti-corruption law here. This is also under Bapak Ide Bagus Surya Dharma. And then we have environmental law clinic. We have Pak Agus. Yeah, he is we can call it the motor or the people behind the environmental law clinic in our faculty. And then we have contract drafting. Here we have Ibu Doktor Suksma. Dr. Sukma is one of the experts here in our faculty in contract drafting, especially international contract drafting. Yeah, thank you, Bu Suksma. And then we have also what we call it? Environmental contract drafting, and then regional regulation contract drafting, legal drafting. Ya, untuk perda, untuk penyusunan perda. And then just in last year, if I'm not mistaken, we set up a new clinical, we call it ethic and advocacy clinic. Work together, supported by Judicial Commission. Betul begitu, Pak? Udah bagus? Ya. So we have 7 CLA here in Faculty of Law. Who is the student? Our student is undergraduate student. So we offer the clinical legal education in the faculty in the level of undergraduate or in S1 program gitu. Jadi baru di tingkat S1. In Amerika maybe like Pak Parikesit, beliau adalah in master degree ya. Ya, Pak Parikesit is one of the graduation from master degree in the California, Seattle or California. Seattle, Washington. Jadi beliau clinical education-nya atau pendidikan kliniknya dari USA. Oke, thank you Pak Parikesit. And then the learning model developed at the Faculty of Law. So we combine between in-house clinic, external house clinic, so and then also straight law clinic. In the beginning, mostly we do our clinic, the combination between in-house and house clinic. However, for nowadays, mostly we work with a combination, maybe some of our CLA in combination in-house and ex-house, and then the other we do straight law clinic. Straight law clinic like we go to directly to the community and go to teach the student from SMA. What in English SMA? Senior high school, just to inform. But the people who should disseminating the legal issue is the student itself. We are the lecturer only accompany them and then to reflect, to evaluate what they actually already done. Okay, Ibu silakan. Next slide. Okay, this is just an example. Until, for example, when we go to the field, in the field of intellectual property, because intellectual property law clinic now merged with here with the civil law clinic, just ask the student first understanding about the bullet, how to register it, for example, and then after that we help the community who would like to register copyright, and then the student itself acting like lawyer, company the community to set up and then to fulfill the form from DGIP, and then finally we have the document about the something like certificate. Yeah. So who help the community, the student itself. So they have experiential. Not only they teaching about how to do that, what the step, but they already done about how to getting certificate for protect our copyright law. That's one of example. Okay, Ibu, dipersilahkan next slide. Nah, just because we in the future we need also not only have 7 clinical in our faculty. In our dream also we have disability law clinic. So first we would understand first what actually disability law, yeah, in the international and national perspective. Okay, Ibu, next slide. Just in brief, yeah, actually the legal basis in international fora is so many. I just take one. The Convention on the Right of Person with Disability. So we can read from the Article 1, for example, what is the purpose of this convention? Yeah, the convention to protect and ensure that equal enjoyment of human right for every people, including the disability people. That's the meaning or the important thing about the purpose of this convention. And then from the Article 5, equality and non-discrimination. Professor also already mentioned about that. The state party recognize that all persons are equal before and under the law. So we are equal. So disability person also has the right to work, right to food, right to education, or the other right. So the state should protect them by establishing the law about that. That's the in Article 5, including the what is discrimination. So we cannot treat people discriminate from this convention. Whether we have another legal basis internal? Yes, we have. But in this context, I only cite only one. Okay. How about in Indonesia? Ibu, next slide. In Indonesia, we have our constitutional law. Betul? Betul namanya gitu. Konstitusi we can from the Undang-Undang Dasar 45 also we can read about equal before the law, every people has the same right. And then we have also human right law in Indonesia. And then finally we also have Law of Republic of Indonesia number 8 of 2016 concerning person with disability. So we have a special legal basis for people with disability. This is respecting their dignity, individual autonomy, without discrimination, full participation, human diversity and humanity. So in our law, we mention about that. We should respect and then we should protect them, and also equality, accessibility. So when we talk about accessibility, are we already do this one? Yes, one of them we can see here. If you come to visit our faculty or you now become our academic society, we have LIP. Yeah, LIP we propose for the people, disability people, or for the elder or something like that. For younger people, when we have strong energy, we can work. Go up work, and then you can exercise yourself also. This is for giving them access because they are disabled, something like that. And then we also, one of our student professor here in the faculty, if I'm not mistaken, the student from master degree, they write about their thesis about people who disabled and blind people. So we should provide them notebook for them, special notebook from people who disabled and blind. Yeah, because they cannot read or access internet with the normal notebook or laptop. We should provide something apa namanya huruf braille, but in modern facility, give them access. Yeah, we need something like that also. When we go to the tourism area in now, because Bali is tourism area, whether we already implement, yes, even though not all, we give them access for the way, for apa namanya, ya trotoar special for them or something like that. Yeah, that's just an example that we have the law and then in some part we already implement the law. Yeah, okay. Next, Ibu, Bapak. Then, developing disability law clinic. Why is it important through academic curriculum? Okay, because we know that people who has disabled character or disabled position, we need special treatment. Then, why we should develop this disability clinic in our faculty? Because set up CLA, more SLA is not really easy. But why we propose this clinic for the future? Okay, Ibu, next slide. In my point of view, there are some argument we can present here. Because as I mentioned before, to set up CLA, we need adjust our method, our curriculum, because the characteristic of learn component, the student will have more opportunity, more understand about human right protection, more comprehensively. Not only we can learn about human right in general, for example, how we protect the environment, how we protect about the right to work for everyone or the right to education for everyone. But how about the disabled person? Because they need some special treatment about them. So this is become a strong argument for me to support this CLA. If we try to see the disabled person also has the right to work, whether we in Indonesia already provide something legal protection about them, yes, we can see from the one of the law about what we call it, UMKM, micro small. In that the law, we have also some article mentioned about we have quota for the disabled person to work at the area of business. But in reality, according to our student, the quota 2% or 10%, but this disabled person, we don't have to fulfill. Actually, we care about that, but the people who will go there, maybe, get. And then the right to education, yes, we already also provide about that. One of them as a evidence is we provide access for the notebook, for example, and then the right to twice education is I mean about the right to education, the right to tourism also, because Bali is one of the tourism area. We also protect, care about them, about the disabled person to do tourism activity, so they can do tourism activity as we are. That the important thing. Then understanding educational program based on interactive and reflective teaching method. As before I mentioned, so this is containing knowledge, skill and value, because in the area of CLA we can learn this method together, and then we will more have experiential learning by doing. And then also next slide, Ibu. Mungkin this only 2 slide left. Silakan Pak, next slide. Okay, that's the conclusion. So through setting the clinical education and disability person, we really hope that our student will have more empathism, more social justice care, and then more knowledge, skill, and value. Yeah, not only actually for the student, but also for the lecturer. Especially fostering a sense of empathy and respect, and not behaving discriminatory manner toward people in disability. They are also human being. Yeah, not only we are as human being, our colleague, our friend, also they are also human being. So why we should treat them differently because of their condition? So through the disability law clinic, we hope that we have more empathism, we have more social justice for them. Thank you very much. That's my presentation and my conclusion. Suksema. Thank you, Pak Budi.
So, thank you very much, Professor Supasti. All participants, do you still remember? What is this? Knowledge. And that one? Skill. And that one? Value. Thank you very much. 3. And this is value, this is meroket. Thank you very much for the very interesting presentation, Professor Supasti Darmawan. I think we have here, Professor Supasti just mentions Dr. Ide Bagus Surya Dharma Jaya, who's sitting on the back, yeah. I guess in 2014 or 15, he visited maybe 5 or more universities in the US to observe how the CLE are organized there. With that one, can you see above the door? That's the former dean, Professor Wairo Chana, yeah, under the project, right? Yeah, by the CLE project, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard the presentations by Professor Rosenbaum and also Professor Supasti Darmawan. Now we are going to move to the next sessions, the question and answer. Wow, we still have, thank you Pak, very interesting. During the question and answer, you may deliver your questions in English or in Bahasa Indonesia. If you would like if you prefer to deliver the questions in Bahasa Indonesia, then we have the committee here, Ibu Putu Aras Samsitawati will do some interpreting. Please kindly, before deliver the questions, just focus directly mentions to whom the questions is directed, and then just continue with the questions. So now, at the first session, I'd like to invite 3 questions. Okay, we have 1, Bapak, and please, who else? Yeah. Okay, 3 options. It can be either in English language, Bahasa Indonesia, or even Balinese. I will do some interpreting on that. Any questions? Not yet? Okay, now Bapak, please firstly mention your name, introduce yourself, and then continue addressing the questions to the speaker. Please.
Thank you very much. My name is Pangeran. I'm learning at the moment at the magister level of law studies in this university. It is an interesting seminar, and if I consider the topic of the emerging trends, from what I understand, the meaning of emerging trends means this is something like patterns, behaviors, or like preference that are gaining popularity and keep on needed by basically by community. Specifically in this seminar, we are referring to disability law. For your information, in Indonesia, based on the census, the last census based on 2020, it was noted that there are around 22.2 million people having a disabilities problem in Indonesia, which means this is widely needed by around to now, I believe that to 7% of Indonesia. From the total of Indonesia, 238 million in Indonesia. Means there are a basic need in Indonesia need to be taken care, need to be obtained. We have to do something about this one. Because the purpose, as mentioned, as elaborated by the professor, that the purpose of the ratification of convention, especially to those people with disability, how to promote and ensure the freedom rights of those people. Means we need to do something. Well, I believe that there has been many laws created and released in this country. But the fact up to now, there are still few best efforts that succeed as to give the solution for those people. But I compare in the United States, probably specifically, in the United States, I believe that there has been practiced in legal practitioner. Because I'm coming from the legal practice, as a lawyer specifically, I'm very interested to this one because I'm driven by compassion to do something to those people. Because they need to be treated equally in this country, in education, in participation in governance, so on and so on. But my question is, especially you have explained as well, one of the key matters is how to make learn by doing. How to do the involvement of a community, partnership, public policy. I'm specifically coming to the learning by doing and also implemented by the professor as well. We said it like here, she mentioned like what we call experimental learning. So as to make it very famous in Indonesia, can I just ask a question? How to transfer the knowledge, value, and also like skill that has been practiced in the United States? Because I've read some articles as well. There are so many legal practitioners specifically handling these issues. But in Indonesia, to your understanding, still few. That means we need to do something more about this one. So I'm very interested in this issue. If there is any chance, if there is any opportunity to get learning by doing or experimental learning, to transfer the knowledge, to transfer the value, how the practitioner in the United States handle this case, and I believe there are so many laws already has been implemented in Indonesia. Now the action need to be done. So please give me your information, or probably there are any chance to get, if I'm really interested, because I'm also a legal practitioner, I want to do something in Indonesia, because very few Indonesia lawyer that are specifically interested in this issue, and I'm very interested on this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bapak Pangeran, terima kasih. Before your question, I thought you raised some really very interesting issues. That the percentage of Indonesians with disabilities, I think about 28%, you said. That's large. In the United States, we estimate 10%. But I think your point is, it's an important enough issue, and as I said earlier, disability is a natural human condition. With technology, with medical improvements, we now have a larger number of people who are surviving, who otherwise would have died at birth. And at the same time, we have people living longer. as some commentators write, everybody, almost everyone eventually becomes disabled, you know, with limitations. So that's a really important point. And I want to underscore also what Ibu Supasti said about autonomy and dignity, which I didn't emphasize enough. Those are hugely important issues, along with stigmatization and understanding ableist practices. And also thank you for raising the Indonesian law, which there is, and the United Nations Convention. Both very important and something we'll deal with in the clinic. And you're invited to the clinic if master students are allowed. Is that all right, Pa? Sige, can you join the clinic? Yeah? Okay, you're on record, Okay, seriously, many ways to answer. So it's become, yes, there's a niche, a subgroup of attorneys who work uniquely on disability issues. I myself had a practice for a number of years just on disability. But as I said earlier, some deal with other human rights or other discrimination. Lawyers who deal with discrimination in employment, in the workplace, might deal with disability, race, religion, gender, and so forth. Again, in education, it cuts across all domains of society. So we have specialists, and then we have generalists, and even within disability, like I myself spent a lot of time on education issues within the broader umbrella, if you will. Since I'm in Bali, I can talk about the umbrella, right? We have the umbrella of many different issues. And so each one has become so specific because we have a special law. The Americans with Disabilities Act is a general law about all domains. We have the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. We have the Fair Housing Act, because housing discrimination, the ability to get, to buy, to rent, to get access to one's house, accessibility, Ibu Supasti, also very important. Accessibility along with accommodation are issues. So it's a very complex set of laws. And even though we do have those, and I think this gets to the gist of your question, we don't always have the implementation or enforcement. We have good law, as we say, good law on paper, good law in the books, but it's the implementation, the practice, the day-to-day reality that's important. And that's where lawyers and other advocates are important to make sure that happens. And it's a long process. It's a long process. And, you know, one of the ironies is the United States has not ratified the United Nations Convention. And that's a big debate we've had in the US. We came close. We have many people who say, we don't need it. We have our own very good laws. And they're right, we do have very good laws. But there are some things the convention can add. Also, I think it's important that we become less exceptionalist and members of the international community. As I said earlier, the United States is too often exceptional, particularly, I won't get into all the politics there, previous administrations, recent administrations. So it's important for many reasons, I believe, to ratify it. And at the same time, countries like Indonesia and many others look to that convention. It was the adoption of it, the ratification of it, that made it very much part of the national law. So it's complementary to the various Indonesian laws that Ibu Supasti spoke to. They go hand in hand. So I guess the short answer is it's a long process to develop that, but that's part of what a law school can do. That's part of what a clinic can do. And students who are in the clinic, as I said, they won't necessarily become lawyers, or they won't necessarily become lawyers of disability, but they'll learn certain concepts. Again, referring back to Ibu Supasti's remarks, dignity, compassion, empathy, autonomy, to understand that in daily life. And I think that's your points too, as well, Pa, that we need to incorporate the understanding of that to make us better citizens and better human beings. And that alone is a worthwhile objective, I believe, in studying disability law or being part of a disability clinic. But again, you have such a wonderful panoply here of clinics, and I hope that this can join that greater community, because I think all the clinics, all the clinic hukum are looking for some of the same general objectives with different issues they're focusing on. So thank you very much for that question.
Thank you, Professor. I just checked that United States has signed in 2009, but not ratified that, right?
Remember, we had a president named Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good president. Okay,
Yeah.
He signed it because you may know, those of you who studied international law, you know, with a treaty you begin, and again, we call it, it's a convention, but it's another fancy word for treaty, covenant, convention, treaty. Different nations do it differently. The first step is signing. The second is ratification. In the US, it's the chief executive, the president, who signs, but it's the Senate who ratifies. And that's where the vote became very close, so it did not pass. And again, that's part of our exceptionalism that we didn't. Now, at the same time, we've had a number of countries who've ratified it, but they don't follow it, right? Okay, that's the easy part, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's easy to do, and that's where I can say the important thing is what you do, not what you say.
Yeah.
And then we have a number of countries, and perhaps Indonesia, I need to look at this again, I think I should before, that have reservations.
Yes, reservation.
How many of you have studied international law? Reservations, understandings, declarations?
Yeah, that's Ibu
Okay.
Suksman also.
So you know, sometimes the reservation can swallow up the treaty, right? You can say, we believe everything except A through Z. So anyway, good point. Good computer skills. What was it? Skills, knowledge, value. Value 3 times.
Three times. Oh, 3 times.
Oh.
Yeah. But I guess Indonesia does not submit any reservations or that one.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. But our neighbor, yes, Malaysia.
Malaysia has, okay. They speak, Malaysia, it's almost the same language, right?
Melayu, they speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melayu. So, thank you very much. Bapak Pangeran, boleh dilanjut oleh Profesor Spasti sedikit. Please, Profesor Spasti, please continue.
Thank you, Pak Budi. Thank you, Pak Pangeran. I'm very happy. Today we have a so really important question. And then from your question, I would like to try to answer how to implement the knowledge, skill, and value in reality when we set up the clinical education in disability law. Yeah, okay. As I informed before, we know that set up the clinical legal education is not easy because we need more component to work together beside the faculty, and then also the need of also the student. We would like to have the student that has strong need to join the clinic. That's why we offer the clinical legal education in our faculty as optional subject, not obligation. Because we need only the student who really pay attention about the subject matter, the topic that join together with us. And then the third thing is we need the similar, the closer empathism from the partner. Who is the partner? One of them is lawyer, and then government, and then also the society. So this is important component that we need. We know that, of course, I'm very little information to set up this one, but better start rather than no for not what we call it. Rather than no action, Pak Budi support me. Better start whether we in the beginning rather than no action. So for the knowledge itself, yeah, we can start learning from the legal document, from the, for example, journal, international journal or article, and then we try to. That's my way to deliver. And then we try to understand about the critical issue, the critical important thing about what the protection about the disability person. So when we already know about the knowledge, yeah, and then how to practice in reality. So we will work together with the student. Yeah, in my experience in the private clinic, I think they're similar, but easier than if we compare to disability person, because according to me, it's need more value. We have knowledge, we have skill, and we have value. Just an example, we have lived now here. When we have, just in practical way, if we have disability person as one of our student, because in the past we have one in program doctorate degree, whether we will queue and then give them first, or we will, I have important thing because I will examine the doctorate degree. This is how to implement the knowledge, value, and skill. Ask ourselves, okay, if we have value here, empathism, so we will give them, okay, you are first. Similar also when we go to restaurant, when we understand about the knowledge, so we hope that our knowledge will become, the awareness of ourselves about value will become emerge. That we will ask the student 30% our curriculum to us to provide them for planning, to understand the knowledge first. In the good way, we should do this one, 30%. But when we go to experiential component, can we do this? We give them 60% to doing the experiential. Yeah, just a simple example. When we go to the tourism area, for example, we know that they are disabled or disabled person, so we will give them first empathism, more awareness about them, or we just, we are similar people. We have similar right. Yeah, that's we should understand about in the implementation. So by learning by doing, more and more we inform the student, not only the student, but ourselves as a lecturer, inform ourselves if we face this condition, what we should do. Oh, give them first, because they are disabled, something like that. So that's the way my method when we running the clinical legal education. We know this is become the emerging trend, but we should also what we call it, memperhatikan to taking into account about if we establish this clinical legal education, whether we already ready for that, for example, the lecture itself, whether we have the close attention, the close attention for, because the disability law clinic is a bit different if we, in my view of point, when we compare with another clinical that we already have. So we need special knowledge to learn, and then to set up the facility, and then also the partner. When we go to the partner, we should also give them understanding about the purpose of our clinical legal education. Whether you will have empathism, you will have, for example, just in my clinical legal private law clinic, for example, whether you will give them similar experience as a lawyer, or you just give them opportunity for copying paper or something like that, because it's not our purpose to send my student in your law firm. So my purpose, our purpose in clinical education is, please help us to provide the good lawyer in the future, so they have experience acting like lawyer. So give them something important role of the lawyer. So they have opportunity sit behind next to you or just behind, and then hearing what your discussion, while we also give them knowledge about this is confidential. So this is also will learning by doing in the field of value. When we know about divorce cases, for example, when the client come to the law firm and then the student sit under the something next to the lawyer, so they should confident because this is we cannot talking outside because we have ethic of advocate or something like that. So this is learning by doing, rather than only we give them the knowledge in the class, so they can feel the experience. So by giving them opportunity to work in experiential component, experiential, so they have experience, pengalaman. Then after that we will reflect them whether in this way we do the right way or we not evaluate. So maybe do the right different method, for example, whether we again talking or discuss the partner to inform them what actually the purpose of CLA. Not only just the work we send them, and then like I mentioned, to copying the something like document. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Supasti Darmawan. I guess we still have around 16 minutes. Any other questions by the participants, please? Yeah. Please, I'd like to invite the participants to raise questions. Okay, from the lady, yeah, please. Yes. Please introduce your name.
Thank you, Mr. Budi. My name Erlina.
Erlina.
I'm study at Magister of Notary, Udayana University. So my question is, maybe not question, maybe just regarding, we talk about disability, and then maybe it's similar with empower women, equality. We need maybe need more opportunity, like Ibu Supasti said. Our life is not only just knowledge and skill, but it's also about value. So we need to care and give impact for the disabilities persons. Maybe it's similar like we talk about empower women, that I also speak up about empower women. Maybe we need to speak up more about disabilities. And my question for Mr. Steve is, in your country or in your university, is there any more special treatment or more opportunity that your country or your university give to the disability persons? Maybe like in Indonesia that I know, that the government make the law, give opportunity for women for 30% in parliament, something like that. Or maybe in your country give the opportunity or more special treatment for disability persons, similar like that, or maybe more, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
That's a very good question, Ibu Erlina. And notaries, yes, and notaries is something that in the United States, it's an older tradition, an older profession that doesn't have as much influence and capability as it does in many countries, including Indonesia? That's a really good question. There are countries, and I think Ibu Supasti alluded to quotas or targets in employment. A number of countries have used that for people with disabilities to employ a certain number of people with disabilities. And that's a mixed model because many countries, I'm not sure here, the employer can buy out, can opt out, can say, okay, I'm not going to bother doing it, but I'll pay a fine, I'll pay a sanction, and maybe it goes into a fund to improve training or recruitment for disabled people. I can see how that model can work, and a number of European countries use it. I think Myanmar used it or used it before the coup. I don't know what they're doing now. But in the US, the model is more the discrimination model. And it's very important you mentioned women, particularly disabled women is itself a very important category. We talk a lot about intersectionality now, disability justice. It's about not just the disability, it's about the gender and the race and the ethnicity and the sexual orientation. Look at all issues of individuals when we deal with not just disability alone. So the preferred approach in the United States is to, again, accommodate, to encourage, again, people with disabilities to work in certain settings, to be educated in certain fields, to have access to transportation, all of that rather than special treatment. And a lot of people in the disability community don't like the term special, even like special education. I don't like that term, even though that was a field I worked in. And my son was in special education for a number of years. It's more like education, education for all. To underscore Ibu Supasti's point, the inclusion. Equality, and something you alluded to as well. There's a phrase in English that we have, it's called nothing about us without us. You want to translate in Bahasa Indonesia?
It's okay, I guess.
Okay, yeah. So that means, and I think this is the point you were making, let's not talk about the person without involving them. And that's why it'll be important for the clinic to consult, as I said earlier, with people with disabilities and their representatives, their organizations. They know best what do they want, what do they need, how should it be done, the different kinds of advocacy. To your point earlier, about how do you build a community of advocates and lawyers. It's, again, involving the people. You know, a term that's become very popular now, othering. Do you have a word for othering? In Balinese? in Bahasa Indonesia? Okay, othering. Again, it's, how to define it? Again, isolating, stigmatizing, and we can do that with immigrants, with women, with racial minorities, with religious minorities, LGBTQ, on and on and on. Othering is distancing, not treating them as human beings, not treating them as equal. So that term now has become very popular, if you will, othering. I'm a member at Berkeley of the Othering and Belonging Institute. So belonging is the opposite of othering, right? We want all people to belong. So I'm not sure I answered your question, Ibu Erlana, but I think it's less about quotas or special treatment than reaching that, achieving the inclusivity by eliminating the barriers. Take down the barriers, take down the walls, take down all the obstacles to that equal treatment and that non-discriminatory treatment. I'll say one more thing, and this is maybe a difficult concept. Some forms of discrimination, it's about the intent. Our country with a long history of racial discrimination against Black Americans and also against brown Americans, Latinos, for instance, but particularly in the South with it was the intent. No, you cannot come into this hotel. No, you cannot go to school with white children. No, you cannot have this job. It was the intent. With disability, it's not the intent so much as it is the barrier. I can't get into the school. I can't get into this office. I don't understand what this government agency is saying to me. So it's not the intention, it's the barrier. Whereas with race discrimination, it was intent. Come into the restaurant. You don't need to have a wider doorway or more room between the tables in the restaurant in Bahasa Indonesia. Yeah, I think you talked about the restaurant. But you do need to have a clear aisle. You need to have a doorway that's wide enough. Again, for the physically disabled person, you need to have a menu that either the server, the waiter says, oh, if you can't see, let me tell you what's on the menu. If you can't hear me speak to you, let me write you a note, or you come with someone to help interpret. If you have an intellectual disability, let me simplify, or you come be accompanied by someone who can help simplify. So all of those kinds of things, all of those accommodations in changing the built environment are necessary if we're going to have true inclusivity and equality. Those are the steps. That's probably more than you wanted to hear, but anyway, but thanks for that question.
Thank you very much, Professor. Yeah, I found it. Adrian and Belonging Institute, yeah, Berkeley, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is quite new word, new term for us. Right. Yeah, is it correct, right?
Yes.
Yes,
I'm
okay.
going to show you some of the people in
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Professor Supasti, we still have around 7 minutes. One more question perhaps, atau langsung Ibu respon sebentar?
Yeah.
Okay, please respond.
Okay.
Please.
Thank you, Pak Budi, Ibu Herlina. Yeah, because it is not question for me, just as something like recommendation. Yeah, like you work with a woman. So according to her, so this is we can do the similar way. How to promote? Yeah, in human right, what is promoting? Promote or promoting more and more disability law, disability right, as Ibu Herlina speak up about the woman. So people then finally will understand, people will finally know about the right of disability person, and then also, okay, I agree with you. So in the future direction, it is very important to more and more to promote about the disability law, and then also the word that we use, yeah, as Professor Stephen mentioned, not special treatment, but better using accessibility, give them accessibility, right, for the disabilities person. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor, for adding the insight. Bapak dan Ibu, this is almost 12 o'clock. The committee reminds me that we have to conclude the question and answer session. However, I will invite the two speakers to deliver the concluding remarks. Around it's 3 minutes per person. Please. Concluding remarks.
Well, one thing I have learned as a teacher is not to keep the class too long. Okay? Yeah. It's important to respect the time limits. So, So I will thank you for your patience and for your attendance. Again, I hope you spread the word because it's not too late, right, Bapak Sigit, to join the clinic. Can you be a master's student and a bachelor student and a PhD? Only bachelor only? Oh my gosh. We have to change the rules, but I guess that's not my job, right? I have to stay in my lane. I have to respect. I really appreciate the opportunity today, and especially also to the ceremony and the procedure was very moving. And again, you didn't know that I knew the national anthem, right? I knew all the words to it in the tune. Not really. I was able to follow along. And so I really look forward to my time here, to working more with faculty members and students in developing this clinical community, whether it's disability or not, learning more about your traditions here and this law school, 60 years old. That's a good age, 60 years old. Anyone here over 60? Who's more than 60? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, terima kasih, and Simba Jumbai? Sampai Jumba.
Professor Suspasti, your concluding remarks.
Okay, thank you, Pak Budi. My conclusion statement. Thank you very much for the dean, for the committee, for the Pak Sigit, and also participant. Without the participant, without the committee, without the speaker, without the dean, we will have no opportunity to join this seminar. As like our seminar also for the clinical legal education, we need more participation for good team. The good team is the good way to start the new clinical legal education, for example, disability law clinic at the Faculty of Law, Udayana University. Thank you very much.
May I just, one more thing, sorry. Even if you can't join the clinic, you can be an ally of the clinic. And you can come to other events like this. And again, we hope on 9 September, Monday at 10 a.m. somewhere here, there will be information communicated, maybe a WhatsApp or somehow, to learn more about it. And throughout the semester, I will be here till 30 November. Then they kick me out. The grant is over. And so I'm very happy to meet with people one-on-one in small groups. I believe that's an important way to learn and to have exchanges. So even if you can't be in the clinic, allies are important. So I invite you for that, if I'm not being too impertinent and insubordinate in making that request. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, thank you very much. Jadi Bapak Ibu, beliau masih ada di Bali sampai akhir November ya Pak Sigit ya? End of November. Okay, thank you very much. Please give big applause to the two speakers for the seminar today. And your active participation, very good questions.
And applause to the good moderator.
Thank you, thank you. And for the participants, ya. Applause for the participants. Once again, kalau nilai 3 kali ya, kalau value ya kan. Okay, knowledge, skill, value, meroket. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite the Master of Ceremony to continue, please.
Thank you, Pak Budi. Now we would like to invite all of the invited speakers as well as the moderator to please go to the stage, in front of the stage, because we are going to deliver the certificate. We would like to also invite committee chairman, Vice Dean 1, and then also head of unit, cooperation unit, and then also research unit, and then Prof. Dewi to accompany the delivery of the certificate. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, finally we arrive at the end of today's agenda. On behalf of the committee, we would like to say thank you and see you next time at the next event. Terima kasih Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian atas partisipasinya. Demikianlah tadi kegiatan Internasional Seminar pada hari ini. Kami atas nama panitia mengucapkan terima kasih dan mohon maaf apabila terdapat kesalahan selama penyelenggaraan acara ini. Om Santi 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 Om. Kepada para peserta dipersilakan untuk menikmati santap siang yang telah disediakan di ruang depan aula. Terima kasih. Untuk sertifikat juga dipersilakan untuk diambil di depan ruang aula. Terima kasih.